Hello there. I am so glad that y'all are here because I am having a really terrific day. Contrary to my technical skills showing up, but an owl being bashful. I don't know what is wrong with that alien of late, but there he goes. Anyway, this is going to be a fun show because I'm sporting my Hollywood Ghost Hunters shirt, and there's a reason for that because my friend Rick is joining me tonight. And he is he's probably the best ghost hunter I know, but don't tell him that. I think that one of the things that I like the most about him is because of how he interacts with spirit. He is so respectful, unless a spirit is not being. He is one of the best people I know. Spirits recognize that. He's one of the kindest people I know, which means that people want to be kind to him too. And so anytime I go any place investigating with him, it's going to be a good investigation. The only place that he's been that I was, supposed to be in Cotton was at the old Paulding jail. And I couldn't go for his event, which was devastating because that's one of my very favorite places on the planet to investigate. And we'll talk about what happened while he was there. But with that being said, let's find Rick. He's out here somewhere. Rick, hey.
I was looking for him.
I know, right? He's a rascally sucker. Hard to find.
Here I be.
How are you?
Pretty good, considering that everything tries to kill me the last couple of years.
Well, but you know what? Nothing has succeeded.
I'm still here.
You are still here, for which I'm eternally grateful. And David is too. So, yeah, this is the only man that my husband will trust me to go out of the country with.
He should.
No lie. He should, and he knows that. Well, because David is honorable and trustworthy too. So, there's that.
I'm only there to protect you while we're there.
I know.
I already had a discussion with David, and that was my role that he picked for me.
Guys, I have such a really, really terrific husband, and he loves me better than the wood's on fire. And he is not someone who trusts people easily, really, but he does trust this guy. And as long as Lori, and I are the traveling trio, everything is good. So it's nice.
We have Mikey with us.
Mikey too. Yes. And well, he didn't go last year. So, and he was missed.
That's true.
So he is, I think that I like traveling with this group because great investigators.
Yeah, everybody on that is really, right on point. Everybody has their own style, and everybody has their own way of getting things, and they all get results. So, I mean, it's pretty cool.
Sometimes it's really interesting to see how the different methodologies work because we've gone places that spirits didn't care for me.
Well, let's see. You got socked in the head. You got shot in the stomach. Yeah,
that was bad.
I think David might fire me as your protector.
Well, you can't really do anything about spirit, though.
That's true.
So, but it's just so bizarre. And when we were at Castle Mangus, you were getting pulled down. Your energy was getting pulled down.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I've been in places like down in San Diego, the William Heath Davis house. I got shoved down the stairs, and the girl was right behind me, and she saw it happen. That was interesting. And in Balgony Castle, something slapped me in the back of the head that everybody saw.
Well, you got shot in the head too, in the eye.
That's true. That was at Lepp Castle.
Can you share that? Because I think that's one of your most bizarre experiences ever.
Well, I was with Scottish Paranormal, and they took me along with them. And by the way, I got to throw a shout out for Scottish Paranormal. I think that they are probably the best ghost hunting group in the world. I really
I
do.
think so.
And the nicest guys, well, except for Ryan. Uh, no, Ryan and
I
Gregor.
want to be able to go with them again.
No, Ryan or
Stop it.
Gregor are the two leaders, and they're both great guys. Unfortunately, they
They
have a
are
sense
great.
of humor. We went to
Well, we
Ireland.
hope it's still sticking.
Yeah. We had gone to Ireland, a whole bunch of us, and we went to this one place. I can't remember the other. Matter of fact, that's got to go on my list. The other one, this one castle we were at, and everybody there kept going, "Oh, I'm getting a headache. I'm getting a headache," and I was okay. And as we got in the car, we drove down to Lep Castle, which is really haunted. And we got down there. We were about an hour early. It was late at night, and we pulled up on the road out in front, and it was really cold out. But I got out. I just wanted some fresh air and stretch my legs. And I got out there, and all of a sudden, I felt like somebody shot me in the eye. I just grabbed my eye and I staggered backwards and almost went down. And I'm out there and I'm, look like a drunk walking back and forth. And one of the guys jumps out and runs out and grabs me and pulls me over to the car. I'm still holding on to the eye. And I'm as close to being out as you can get. And they said, "Come on, get in the car." I said, "No, man, leave me out here in the cold and, in the wind. Maybe it'll help." So they get back in the car and I'm outside. And one of them looks in the rearview mirror and nobody sees me. So he jumps out of the car and I'm hanging onto the back of the car and I'm completely over the edge. And he said I was so white, they kind of thought I was dead, right? And they come out and they help me up and they go, I'm like, whoa. They said, "You better get back in the car." I said, "Yeah, I think I better." So I got in the car and we drove up to the front. It was our turn to go in. And I just said, "Guys, just leave me out here in the front seat. I need to, regroup." So they go in, and bless their hearts, like every 3 or 4 minutes, there'd be a little face looking in the window. One of them would run out to check on me. But I was just sitting there, and it was really painful. And all of a sudden, how on the old time movies, when the movie's over, the thing goes whoop and closes, the iris closes. That's what my eye did, and my vision just went whoop, and I thought, "Oh, this isn't a good sign." That means that it's finished. So I'm sitting there, and everything was wrong, and I couldn't really move around. I was just sitting in the chair like this in the seat. And finally, I just said, because I was positive that this was the end of little Rico, as they said in the movies. I said, if this is my time, I'm okay with it. I said, I've been pretty much everywhere I wanted to go, met great people. If now is my time, it's okay. And I closed my eyes. And I forgot to say this, before my eye went really bad, I felt all my energy go right? So I was just like a big slab of meat. So I'm laying there like this, and all of a sudden I feel my energy start coming back up my body, going through my chest, going up into my head and everything else. And I'm like, what was that? I open up my eyes and my eye doesn't hurt and I can see everything. And right then Gregor's knocking on the door, and I said, "Open the door." And he says, "Help me out." So I get out and we go inside and I sit down, still trying to catch my faculties, I guess you could say, because everything was like being diswired. And finally I came back to life and I went ghost hunting with him and everything else, like nothing was wrong. But about 2 weeks later, one of the guys called me and he goes, "You're not going to believe this." I said, "What?" He goes, "Found out that the earlier castle we were at, 2 guys had a duel and one got shot through the right eye and died." So I figured that guy was just trying to show me what had happened to him. He decided to, and I think that's what happened with each of the guys who were starting to get headaches. I think they go, "Nah, he's not going to play. He's not going to play. Well, let's get this guy." And then boom. So that was the scariest time I ever had, because I thought really that was the end of me. But as you can see, ta-da, I'm still here.
Ta-da, indeed. Well, I'm sorry, the world would not be quite as bright without you. So I'm glad that you survived that. And
Me too.
you know, you've had you've had some really interesting and fun ghost hunts. I mean, when you were in Australia, did you do anything? Were you doing it then?
Hmm. Didn't see anything though. I went with the director and a couple of the actresses, and we went into this one big barn type thing for where they parked all the big construction stuff, and we went through there, but I couldn't get anything. But um, you could tell there was stuff there. I mean, you could just feel it, but nobody was wanted to let us talk to us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been to Ireland, I've been to Switzerland, I've been to England, been to Australia. You know, been to Puerto Rico, been to the Bahamas, and every place I've been, there's interaction. And I don't know why they want to talk to me, but they do. So it's
Go figure, right?
yeah.
But I mean, I think that's so great.
Yeah, I remember getting mad at one guy. We were having a ghost hunt, and he started calling him all kinds of names. I said, "Hold it." He goes, "What?" I said, "How would you like it if I walked into your house and called you all those names?" And he goes, "I wouldn't like it very much." I said, "Okay, now imagine this is something that you can't see, you can't hear, and can't interact with unless it wants to with you. So how about this? Behave, or I'm going to throw you out." So he goes, "Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. You're right." So you can't talk to them like that. They don't have to show themselves to you if they don't want to. So he was just being goofy. Who is that person in the middle of the road?
I don't know what's happening here. I have, I can hear you beautifully. I cannot see anything.
Well, actually, I think it's me standing in the middle of the road in
Oh,
Inverness,
Glasgow. That's in Glasgow. And
Glasgow.
that was someplace that we did not really get much chance to explore, but what we did do was fantastic. And that was where everybody says, look up. If you're here, look up because the prettiness is up above. And so you are modeling
Oh,
for the
Lord,
stuff above you.
Lord help us. If I'm the one that's the model, oi.
Oh, please. That was actually a lot of fun.
Scotland
So
is amazing.
every place that we've been so far is. And you didn't even want to go to Aberdeen, and we wound up there for 20 minutes to eat dinner on our way back to go
Well, I don't know
south.
what something had hold of me while I was in Glasgow. I was sick as a dog. And went in.
You were sick as a dog that whole trip.
Yeah, it's true. It's
You
weird.
weren't taking good enough care of yourself.
Things have been trying to kill me for the last 2 years, and I'm not kidding. But I'm
Well,
still here.
and it's a good thing. But I am having just an absolutely um, terrible moment with my computer. I
Well, the
am
picture.
going to duck out and ask Carl if he will step in for just a minute and let me get this rebooted because I can't even change Windows. So let me
Okay,
restart this and I'll be right back.
good.
Hello, Carl.
Thank you, Carl.
Hello, Rick.
I need
So,
to. I need to actually talk to you again someday on the thing there, like we did
oh,
before.
okay, yeah, we will. We'll get together and do a show and get
That
that
was pretty
going
fun.
on. Yeah. So, when was I know you've had surgery and everything and getting through that. When was the last time you went on an investigation?
I went to the. I don't know the name of it. It's the Hollywood Horror House. They're the ones that they did all the TV shows on.
Yeah.
and me and Kane Hodder went there and led an investigation, and that was pretty cool. So, and I've
Right.
been there about a month before with Mikey Thompson, and we went in there, and we were getting a lot of stuff on the K2 meters and the REM pods and things like that. So it was a pretty cool place. It's where they do all the like a lot of horror movies in this place.
Oh,
But
really?
yeah, but I'm really looking forward to getting to Scotland. I'm hoping I'll get there in July. But this knee's got to get a lot better.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, what happened after I got the knee surgery,
Mm-hmm.
I immediately got down on my ankle and my shin and my foot cellulitis, which is a bacterial infection. And boy,
Right.
did that really knocked me backwards.
I'll bet it did.
So that's finally cleared up, and I'm starting to walk again. So
Good. Good, bro. Just take
so
it easy and, step by step, just get it working better.
yeah, but you know what? That's not my personality. My
I know it's
personality
not.
is attack.
Right. And if folks listening out there that they don't know Rick McCallum, he was a professional stuntman in a
Yeah,
lot of movies.
for a little while, only 43 years.
Yeah, 43 years. And he's gotten beat, bumped, banged, thrown, cut in half twice.
Yeah, got cut right through the crotch and through the head.
Yeah. So, and then after doing that, him and Kane Hodder, and wasn't there another person with you that started the Hollywood Ghost Hunters, or just you and Kane?
Well, Kane and I started it, and then we brought R.A. Mihailoff in, and R.A. played Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Part 3, and
Right.
Kane was Jason in Friday the 13th, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So, and then I played Dark Wolf, and I played a few other monsters. Matter of fact, their tagline for our thing was "The dark is afraid of us."
Right. You good to go,
I,
Kat?
I am good to go. It was apparently an update that decided that that was the immediate time it had to happen.
Oh, yeah. That never failed.
So that was fun. It's your
Okay.
fault, Rick. I blame you.
Here you
Thank you, Carl. So, hiya.
hello.
I think that I have lost all of the media assets that I had in here. So there's that.
Well, do you remember what we were doing this afternoon when I was counting up how many famous places that I'd been at?
Yes.
And then I was saying, well, wait a minute. You were here. You were here too. You
I
were
was
here.
there.
I had 84 names, and I bet you had about half of them.
Well, the fun thing is that you said Winchester House and you didn't say, oh, you were there. But we were. Lori and I had flown out for that thanks to you.
Yeah, that was interesting place.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing what the story of that house where the lady had been told by a mystic or somebody that she needed to have somebody building on her house 24 hours a day, or the evil spirits would get her.
Yes.
And she did. She's got what? How many? There's 1,000 rooms or something real crazy like that.
Oh my gosh, it's not 1,000, but it is crazy how many there are. And there's windows in the floors. There are doors to nowhere. They had one of the first intercom systems. I don't know how anybody figured out how to work that. It's really, it was cool, but it wasn't a creep factor. It wasn't a creepy place. It was an unexpected place because the whole story about why she was doing that. You know, she lost her husband and child when they were in their, was she even 30 yet?
I don't
But
think so.
she inherited the whole Winchester rifles inheritance. She
Yeah.
inherited everything about it.
Yeah, she was super
And
wealthy.
yeah, but she felt like it was a punishment for all the people who had been killed that created the curse, as it were, the reason for her family dying. And then she went and got moved away from where they died because didn't want to be there. Bought this house, which was sitting in the middle of a bunch of farms, and gradually bought all the farms, but took care of all the people that worked there. And it's really tragic, but they said that as long as she was working on the house, like you said, that she would continue to live. And that's why.
Well, you know
But
what
they
else?
also had one of the first intercom systems ever.
Well, you know what else was funny? It was that she was only 4'10".
Yes.
She was a little,
Tiny.
little tiny person. I remember that Mikey got a lot of stuff there, and that Lori got a lot of stuff on her SLS at
Mhm.
that house. So that was
Yeah.
pretty good hunt. And who else was there? Patty Negri was with us.
Patty Negri was there. And we were there with Dark Realm TV. Nope. What is the name of that company?
Dark Realm, I think, is the name of it.
Okay.
Or is that Jay Bloomkeys?
It wasn't Jay, it was the other guy.
Yeah, I remember him.
He started wanting to do paranormal television in a studio, and in order to do anything, you had to be on site at that studio. And I was like, people have worked a very long time for that not to be a necessity to be able to do this, right? I mean, And I haven't heard. Dark Realm is not him. That is here. So, because Jay is Dark Zone, right?
Spirit
DZT.
Realm, I think. I can't remember. It's been a long time.
It has been a long time, but I don't remember what that was. But in fact, one of the pictures that I took.
Well, one of them was dark. One of them was Dark Zone, and the other was Spirit Realm.
Spirit Realm. He was Spirit Realm.
And I got to tell you, Jay took us, some pretty good places.
Jay is brilliant.
Actually, the one place that I went to many, many times to lead some ghost hunts was at the LA Police Museum.
That's such a cool place from what you've told me. Tell me about that some more.
Well, that place is so haunted. I mean, it's ridiculously haunted. We would hear voices. We'd get them on, on tape. We'd get stuff on the SLS. Matter of fact, one of the coolest things on the SLS, Mikey had one, and there was a room that was dedicated to the North Hollywood shootout.
Right.
Which is where these two guys came out with like all these super high-powered rifles and all the stuff, protective stuff over them. They had body armor on. They had bulletproof vests. And they just started shooting at everybody across the street because they got caught coming out of the bank when they were stealing it. And there was this big gunfight. And finally, the one guy took off, left the other guy. One guy took off in the car. The other guy was walking, and he saw the SWAT guys ahead of him, and he put the gun under his chin, and he got hit at the same time by somebody shooting him and him shooting himself.
Oh.
So then the other guy. So the other guy gets down the way, and he gets cut off. And what had happened was these guys had such high-powered weapons, and the cops had no rifles. So they couldn't get close enough to him because these guys could be 2 blocks away from him, shoot at him. But unfortunately for him, the guys who were working out in this gym close by were SWAT team members. And they came out and they had the rifles and stuff. And one guy was crouched behind a car and he's shooting at everybody. And the one SWAT guy gets on his stomach and shoots the guy in the legs from underneath. And that took him out. But
well, I can see that.
But what happened when we were in the inside the museum, we wanted to see if we could do something to get these two to interact with us. And there was a big glass case with 2 dummies of them wearing their clothes with the automatic weapons they had.
Yeah.
So Mikey and I were talking, and we decided that we would play machine gun fire all of a sudden in while we were all in there. And he's got the SLS camera. It's not doing anything. And we hit the button and the machine gun sound comes off and both of them light up with the things and they start fighting. And the one guy knocks the other guy out of the thing and goes after him. Right? And then they're gone. But found out later on that one guy was messing around with the other guy's wife. So I think he finally was getting his chance and he was duking him out. So
that's so freaky.
But we had so many things there. We had a young girl who was about 14, and she was there with her dad. Her dad was going off to do hunting and stuff, and she was kind of a newbie, so she'd just be standing there by herself. So we were getting ready to do we were getting ready to do the Estes method, and I went down to her and I said, "Would you like to do it?" And she goes, "Yeah, but would you tell my dad?" I said, "Sure, I'll get him." So she went up the stairs. It was like in a little alcove. The stairs went up and you were there.
Right.
When I got him, he's standing at the bottom of the stairs. And this girl had one of the most amazing Estes method things I ever heard. And she says, "Oh no, there's 2 men and a blonde lady and they're killing her." And everybody's going, "Oh, that's the Manson family." I said, "No, it's not." Right? And they're all going, "Yeah, it's Sharon Tate." I said, "No, it's not." Right? Because there wasn't 2 people that killed Sharon Tate. But two people did kill Marilyn Monroe. At least that's the story, right? But as I was watching her, she was getting in a little too deep. And I was watching her, and Mikey was watching her, and all of a sudden she was saying something, and she went like this. She just jerked. And I said, "Okay, come on with me. We're done.
We're done."
Yeah, get her out of there. But what was so wonderful about it, one of the best things of ever ghost hunting, got down the stairs, walked her down to her dad, and he reaches out and he just hugs her. And he goes, "I'm so proud of you." And I was like, yes. So it was cool. Well, they weren't really interacting. They were just kind of, she was waiting while he went other places. And then finally, I think it'll stick. Let's put it that way.
You think so? Because that's the best thing.
Yeah.
There's just something about, it's not really what you would consider father-daughter time unless they're into that, right?
Yeah.
And they were. So to me, that just is it's just really so cool.
Well, that was a connection right there that'd be hard to beat for them, I can tell you the story about another one like that. Mikey and I were leading an investigation down in Tombstone as part of this big Paracon they had. And we were assigned to the Undertaker's room. This kid comes over and he's got like the Hasbro Ghost Hunter starter kit. He had like the watch and he had all kinds of stuff. And he was about 10, maybe. So we start talking and I said, "Okay, ask a question," right? And he starts talking for about 2 minutes. I said, "Hold it." Right? That's not how this works. Okay, let me show you. Mikey goes, "Yeah, Rick's back there beating on some little kids." But anyway.
You wouldn't do that.
No, I wouldn't. But I said, just ask if there's any kids here that can come out and play. Because the story of it is there was a kid named Danny who got kicked in the head by one of the wagon train guys and killed him. So I said, ask if anybody's here. And the little boy goes, is there anybody here? Oh, St. Andrews.
Yeah, didn't mean for that to be up there.
Love that place. But
not where we're talking about, though.
No, but the little boy asked, he goes, are there any young guys here that want to play? And then we hear a yes. And everybody kind of goes, what? And so I say, what's your name? And you hear the voice, Danny. So me and Mikey turn around and look at each other like, what?
Whoa.
So they talked for a minute or two, and time ran out because we had to have, the people kept rotating in. So their time ran out. They got a little more talking. And when the other people came in, I said, well, we just had a pretty intense thing here. I said, let me ask something real quick. I said, Danny, do you remember the little kid's name that you were just playing with? And he goes, Lincoln. And that was the kid's name. It was like, wow. But
that's the most bizarre thing ever.
Yeah. What was really cool was the next day, the father and the little kid went over to the people putting on the show and said, we got to tell you that Rick and Mikey were so nice to him and he had the greatest time. And it was like, yes. And Mikey's saying, yeah, except for when you're not bitch slapping the children. I said, I didn't do that. I just had to stop him. He would have talked the whole 30 minutes we had him.
Well, it was a big deal, though.
But he had a great time. He really did. Lincoln and Danny. I want to go down there and see if Danny talks some more.
Well, how far is that from you?
About 550 miles, I think.
Thanks.
And what's funny is gotten a lot of voices down in there. There was one, I've played it for you before.
Yeah.
Where I went into the bird cage, and I went with the owner, and I went downstairs and I put my night vision camera on the banister down by where the big poker games are done, and that's where a lot of the trouble was at because the hookers had rooms right next to the. I guess the guys, made a little money, went over and spent it, came back. Yeah.
Yes.
It was an interesting place. But I asked as I was walking up the stairs, I said, did you ever see anybody get killed here? And I said, did you kill anybody? And I went upstairs, I came back down, and I replayed the sound from the camera. And you hear very clearly. Now, what you got to understand out there, people, is that most of the people that are around there at that time were Mexican because Mexico is so close. So they had a huge Mexican population. And I said, you hear me talking. I said, did you ever kill anybody? And you hear this voice, kind of raspy and with a Mexican kind of sound. It said, I had to. So I called the guy up about 2 years later. I said, man, you got to hear this. He goes, wow, that's amazing. I said, you think I can get back in there? He goes, well, he says, if you were here right now, I could get you in. I said, good, open the front door. I didn't tell him I was there. So I went back down and I asked again. I said, last time I was here, you said you killed somebody. Did you ever see anybody get killed? He goes, yes. Same voice, same spot. So I'd like to get back in there and see if he's got anything else to say.
Whoa.
But when he said, I had to, that was pretty cool.
I think it's possible that in that time period, you wouldn't have a choice. I mean, you would be coming into a scenario where it was kill or be killed.
Well, that's where if you saw Tombstone, that's where the Cowboys and the Earps hung out. Not always. Most of the time they were with the Occidental, but they would have been down there too. A lot of gunfighters and, that's the poker rooms. Poker tables were set up there. And a lot of guys.
I know some poker players. I could see that.
Yeah, and they didn't like losing. If they ever lost, it was, you cheated me. Kapow. Yeah. So.
Never. I played poorly tonight. I mean,
Boy, tonight's
never ownership.
Yeah, but you know how it is there? They'd be going, oh, tonight's not my night. and yours either.
Yeah.
Right? That was
Well, there's people that are still like that. So,
yeah,
not anybody that we hang out with that I know of.
but that was
So,
pretty cool, those voices. I'll tell you, the
it
one
is.
that scared me the most was in St. Andrews in the university, which you've been there,
I have. In fact, we were just showing pictures from it
which was
by mistake.
which is actually a lovely place to be. And during the summer months, they rent out the dorm rooms, and it's like
Yes.
$400 a night across the street. I mean, directly across the street, and
Yeah.
it's like $100 at the university. So I
I
always
don't
get
think it's even that much. I mean,
yeah
it's a very reasonable place to stay with
yeah
breakfast.
and in big rooms and everything else and free breakfast. Yeah, we took advantage of that.
Yes, we did.
But yeah, that place was something. The first night I got there, there was one other guy on my floor, and he was all the way down at the other end, and I was more towards this end. And I got in there and I laid down, and I just started to go to sleep, and I heard a girl scream bloody murder. And it's like, the hell? So I opened up the door and I went running down the hallway, and I'm listening everywhere. I said, what's going on? It was right here. It was right near me. Didn't hear anything. And then I asked the people downstairs, I said, has anybody ever said they heard somebody screaming? Oh, no. I said, well, it's just me then. Right. So we both happen to know a very famous psychic. I'm not going to mention her
Yes.
name, though. But I asked her, I said, I heard, this scream. She said, you're on the third floor, right? And I said, yeah. And she goes, how close were you to the stairs? I said, not that far, a couple rooms over. And she goes, that's where they killed her. So
Right.
thanks. So that was kind of interesting.
And I am going to say that she is freaky good. She got my deceased family members that no one would know to connect to me. So, and because, she knew the names of my dogs that were here. She knew the name of my family members who were here often. And, and I don't feed psychics because, I'm just like, I would give her food, but I don't feed her. If she says, there's a Gordon, I know Gordon. There's a Joshua, I know Joshua. There's a Scott, I know Scott. And she hit everybody, my dad, my nephew, his dad, all dead.
And she nailed everybody that I knew.
Yeah.
The one that got me though?
What?
Just as she was getting ready to be done, she goes, don't forget, your grandma wants you to remember the glass. I'm thinking,
yes. Oh my gosh.
What glass? I'm thinking, Disneyland or something. What glass? Then I went, oh crap, because I had made this for her because this was actually her most famous saying. And I don't know if you can see it.
Well, I can't because I'm blind as a bat.
No, it says, the title of it is The Man in the Glass.
Yes, I do remember you. And that's a beautiful poem.
Yeah. But the fact that she came up with that, I'd forgotten about it,
Yeah. Now, I have no doubt if I had doubts, and I do have doubts about some people I know that say that they do this, but I don't have doubts about this particular individual. And she is the reason that, because I have skills, but I'm not very open with them because I don't want to do something that might cause harm by mistake because I haven't really worked to develop it. It just shows up at random times, and sometimes it's appropriate and sometimes it's not so. But, it's just really one of those things that she was spot on. And if I ever had a situation where I was being affected by somebody being here, I would pick up a phone because of her. I would trust somebody because of her.
There's only two people that I trust as far as I can. The other one's Lee Dunn.
Without a doubt.
And the
Lee
reason
Dunn is
yeah,
amazing.
he's a member of Scottish Paranormal, and
And a
he
world-renowned psychic. He's a professional psychic. It's what he does.
yeah, and he's extraordinarily good. And I remember the reason that I really liked him. I've been on ghost hunts with so many psychics,
Yeah.
and he and I and Linda Whiteford and Gregor all went into the toll booth thing in Culross.
Mhm.
And we were in there and we investigated for about an hour and a half. And we weren't getting anything, right? It's supposed to be real haunted. And the reason that I really like Lee is Gregor looks at me and he goes, Lee, are you getting anything? And he goes, no.
No.
Instead of the usual, well, I feel like a manifestation. I think it's a woman in white over in the corner. You just, oh.
Nope.
So you
Well,
got like,
I mean, seriously, if there's nothing there, move on. Why
Yeah.
would I don't understand, you know, I was ghost hunting with that Keith Age, and had done an event at this old roller skating or bowling alley. And
I'd like to see
They
you
were-
bowl with roller skates on.
I can do that. I won't do that because but last fall broke my knee. But that wasn't on roller skates. That was on foot, and I wasn't even drinking. It was so embarrassing. But we were going through there, and he had some psychics there that I'm not going to name either, but not because they were so good either. But we're going through, and there's a little bowling alley in the back of this place, and the machination for the bowling alley stuff. And so these girls are like, oh, well, there were people buried, killed right here. And I'm walking through there and I just looked down. I was like, no, there
I got
wasn't.
nothing.
You
I got
know.
nothing.
And so, and I just quit really trusting people very much. There's some people that I would trust implicitly. Lee Dunn is one of them. The other woman we discussed is also. And a couple of others who are friends that I know can do that. Lee Brown would be another one, Lutriana Brown. But I just don't think that there's enough people that get the recognition they deserve for being freaking amazing at that, right?
Well, there's a lot of them that get recognition who aren't that good either.
Yes, but Lee Dunn does, because Lee Dunn does this for a living. That is his real life job, and I think that's pretty amazing.
Well, I got to tell you something, because you'll remember this. When I kept hearing a woman's voice calling my name behind me.
Mhm.
Remember that? It went on for a couple of years. And it wasn't every day, but I'd be walking down the alley and I'd hear, Rick. And there's nobody there.
Yeah.
And I remember I was in the supermarket and I'm standing there and I'm ordering my sandwich and I hear behind me, Rick. And I turn around and I look. And I turn back and the guy that was making my sandwich, he goes, I heard it too. I said, okay. But
Okay.
it was getting that other people were starting to hear it. I was doing a paranormal convention. I was giving a speech. And when I was done, I started to walk off. Dee Dee Jabrail was one of the people that was standing there. And these two ladies, I heard behind me, Rick. I looked back and I said, and I had just told them about this when I was giving the speech. And the two ladies said, we heard her. And so I interviewed them. I actually got them on tape. And they said, yeah, the girl called your name. And I looked up, Dee Dee's sitting there. I said, Dee Dee, did you hear that? She goes, yeah. So I ended up calling the girl that we know, and she nailed it. She told me, she goes, yes, this is a girl. She's from the South, real pretty blonde girl. She's very religious, and she passed away from cancer. So I thought about that for a while. And then I actually asked Lee Dunn. And Lee Dunn told me almost word for word the same thing. And I asked the girl, I said, why is she calling me all the time? She goes, she's got a message she wants to give you. And I'm waiting for an earth-shattering message, and I forgot how good sense of humor this girl had. She says, if you ever want to run with the big dogs, you have to get off the porch. So I got a spirit that called me a lazy bum.
She just said you were not quite off the porch yet.
I was maybe on the 2 rungs up, 2 stairs from the
Yeah.
bottom. But the fact that those two both had the same thing. Matter of fact, one of them said she's from down south, and then I can't remember if it was him or her. But one of them said,
It was him.
yeah, it just said. No, I forgot what she said. Yeah, I forgot what he said.
Because didn't he tell you her name?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. He goes, yeah, her name is Jeannie. And I said, I don't know anybody named Jeannie. And this girl that I would go out with every once in a while, she had been a model and real religious and everything else, and her name was Jade. And then it dawned on me that Jade was her model name and her real name was Jeannie.
Yep.
So I was like, whoa.
Don't piss off Lee Dunn. So,
yeah, Lee Dunn's really got it.
well, he's one of the nicest people. Everybody that we have met in Scottish Paranormal are just the nicest people.
They really are.
And, then you move up to Inverness and you're with Highland Paranormal, also the nicest people. Drug us all over the world. They were very nice. Gregor drug us all over the world. He's very nice. Him and Kyle, both. And, it's just it's a different culture there where the paranormal, Lee is a psychic, all of these things are just considered normal there. It's not a taboo. It's not scary. It's not, woo, it just is. It's the life that these people lead. Going down, we had talked about Danino Den.
Yep.
And I couldn't go down into the den because my knee wasn't healed yet. And you didn't go either because you were having problems too. And, we, all these places are just there. And with them being right to roam,
Yeah.
you don't get shot if you go someplace.
No, that's
Just
the law
don't
in
mess with the house
Scotland.
and don't leave the gate open.
Yeah, in Scotland, if you go there and you see a castle that's an abandoned, you want to go into it, you just go into it because you have the right to roam. And
No right to sue.
And this is the way the Scottish people are. If you fell down in there and you broke your leg and you took them to court, the judge would just look and say, okay, let's see now. You went into a dark place. There was rocks and everything else. You fell over something and you broke your leg and nobody invited you in there.
Yeah.
And you want to sue somebody?
Yeah.
Case dismissed. Right? Just so
done.
but they were very cool. But yeah, I got a lot of places with Scottish Paranormal. I mean, you can't beat Balgony Castle.
You cannot. And we have a picture of it somewhere. I'm going to need glasses. These darned old eyes.
There it is.
There she is. Which is, not going to lie, it's my favorite. And
I see Alfie back there.
yes, you do. And we've got this picture that I absolutely love this picture.
That's a great picture.
And that's in the chapel. The chapel actually blew me away. And this particular image, when I took it, Tunde and Lori were sitting to the left looking at the picture. And I didn't share the picture of Tunde sitting there because it was I think it was a decision-making moment. And so I just think that, man, this is the place that we investigated when we were there with the guys last year. there's Lori and Ryan, and that's not me because I took the picture. I don't know who that is. Maybe it is me. Maybe somebody
I might
else.
have taken the picture for you.
Maybe. But, you know, that's when we first went to Scotland on that horrible trip. We went to Balgony, and it was astounding. It was everything a haunted castle is supposed to be. And it's even more so now. And
Yeah.
the fact that we get to experience places like that says a lot about the people there. And the new Laird is, I didn't know this. I don't know if you knew this or not. He's a tour guide.
Yeah.
He takes you everywhere. So I figure next time we go, we'll spread a little, you know, cheer. And
Is that what they call it nowadays? A little bit of cheer?
yes,
The
it
kind
is.
that comes out of your wallet and unfolds. Yeah.
It helps
No,
provide.
he's a pretty cool guy, though. But
Well, he is a pretty cool guy because, I mean, he still lets people do that.
yeah,
You know, I mean,
the thing that I'll never forget, and you were there, was when we were down in that one room, and I've never had anything like that happen. That was just, I mean, it was unbelievable. Me and the Laird had become real good friends instantly, and I'd actually done a thing in the old magazine I used to make, and I had a big article about him in there. And I have a picture of him where he's sitting there reading it, looking up at me, right? That Gregor made for me. But we went there, and they put us down in this one room I'd never been into before. It was downstairs, and it was like, how would you describe that room?
it was his, there were things there that mattered. There was a house that he had built with his son.
Yeah.
There were items that he had found around the property that were in a glass display. The museum, that's what they called it. There were artifacts that he had found on the grounds that were in a glass top case. There were other things too, but through a door was his personal workshop. And this man was a woodworker better than anybody I've seen that didn't do it professionally.
We had 47 doors that he carved in that place.
They have long windows there.
And he painted all the ceilings, of all the former Laird's in his residence. But I can't say that I've ever had anything happen like what happened to us in there. Of course, that was where you guys figured out that I was kind of a dope.
I wasn't going to say that.
You didn't have to. I kind of did. We went in there, and like I said, me and the Laird were really good friends. And I don't know why. I mean, instantly we just bonded. And the first
did that. There's people you just do that with.
Well, this was even more than that. I mean, because he actually took me upstairs, the third floor, to his private residence.
That's right.
As soon as I met him, and as we were going up the steps, Gregor says, he's never taken us up there, right? So we go up there, we see the whole thing. It's amazing. And we were always just, real good friends. And he passed away, and we went downstairs, and we were down there, and we had Mikey and Julie were there, Lori, that girl there, what her name is again, Kat was there, I was there. Yeah. And we had all kinds of equipment out. We had all these K2 meters out. We had REM pods, we had SLS cameras, everything. And we just sat down, and I started talking, and we had other people that were with us, and I was trying to introduce everybody and, say something about the Laird. And every single thing in the room went off at once, just boom. I mean, it was like exploded with electricity in there. And
yes,
Kat was right next to one of the.
I was next to the REM pod.
Yeah, the REM pod. And I turned around and looked at it. You said, "Look at that thing." I turned around, you could see the lightning, going up the thing. I was like,
And that did not, do you know that's not in the video?
yeah,
You can't
you look
see
at the
that
video,
in the video.
you don't get how intense it really was.
Mm-mm. And it was the most intense thing I've ever seen because I was nervous that I was going to blow up. And he kept shutting off. I mean, because all the way through the video, there's like, beep, and Mikey says on the video, it's like camera, battery died, like number
Well,
one.
you tried
Battery
3 different
drain number
batteries.
2.
Didn't you have 3 different batteries in that?
I did
Yeah, and each one of them went. But
immediately.
yeah,
But they would come back on.
yeah.
I didn't know that until I was recycling through them. The batteries would come back, and then they would shut back down.
That was really something, though. I mean, I've never seen anything like that.
But when Mikey said, "I've got this video," I'm like, I want to see it because I wanted to see that electricity climbing the antenna of the REM pod because we're all seeing that. It's just like, and that did not pick up. You can hear it, but you can't see that lightning looking stuff going up.
You know what's the best part of that?
Tell me.
I'm sitting there and I'm going,
oh my gosh, yes.
I said, all this stuff is starting to go off. I said, this has got to be somebody that really knows the equipment. And I look up and everybody, all of you, Lori, you, Mikey, Julie, are all going. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's the Laird. And they were like, boy, it took you long enough.
Huzzah!
Yeah, wee.
That was so funny. But
that one will
he showed up big time for you.
Yeah, that one sticks with me for sure.
And then that lady was like, we need the password. Greg said that there's a code word. And it's like, I don't need a password right now. I'm seeing this. I'm believing this. And I don't know if anybody ever really checked for one.
I never knew there was a code word. Never needed one. He always talked to me.
I just heard that. I mean, I just heard her say that. I don't know what it was or if anybody got it. I'm going to have to go back and listen to my stuff again. But, that was the coolest evidence I've ever seen with my eyes.
Yeah, that was really something. The other one that really got me was the one in the graveyard.
Yes.
In Inverness. You guys didn't get to see it, but
I did not because you were off with that other lady.
Yeah, and she was a guest of Highland Paranormal, so we were just walking around, and my knee was killing me, and I was about ready to fall over, and there was this one tombstone that was sideways. It looked like a coffee table, and I just said, look, I don't mean any disrespect, but I have to sit down. If I don't sit down, I'm going to fall on this, right? So I sit down, and the K2 had been totally quiet the whole time I went through everywhere. As soon as I sat down on the thing, 5 lights, boom, and I said, you don't like me sitting on your tomb, do you? And it goes, boom, 5 lights. And I said, okay, my knee is really shot. That's why I sat down here. I mean, no disrespect whatsoever. Can you at least let me sit down here for like 30 seconds? And, and it kind of went like 2 to 3, just like I'm thinking about it. And then like right around 30 seconds, bam, 5 lights. And the girl's, I mean, she's freaking out watching this. And I said, okay, if you really want me to go, if you light this up all 5, I'll go right now. Bam, instant, right? And she looks at it, she goes, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to leave. I got thrown out.
Yes, you did.
Exit this way. So
Stage left even. That graveyard is bizarre because when we were there that first time, that's where I found my grandmother's maiden name, Kemp. And, I'm sitting there and I'm looking, and there wasn't anything that freaked me out there. And I went back to the back at the front, like when you come in and you go straight and there's that enclave right there.
Yeah.
I went back there to feel it, and I'm coming back and there's like a bird massacre, feathers all on the ground. And when I turned around, I'm like, oh my God, what happened while I was in there, And there wasn't a body. There was just feathers. And so I turned around and there was this beautiful red monument. You saw it when we were there last time. And I was like, oh, that's so pretty. So I forgot about the feathers because there wasn't a body. And so I was checking out this monument, and it was kind of petite, and it had a little cross on the top like they do. And it was my grandmother's maiden name. And
That's pretty cool.
I was just like, whoa, that's interesting. So I came home and I researched it, and it's a pit of the Campbell clan, and so it's just part of Campbell. So I've got Buchanan and I've got Campbell. So it was just weird.
Well, you know that the Malcolm family, which is the McCallum family, was actually the muscle for the Campbells. Anytime there was a war, the McCallums always came over and took care of it.
Things haven't changed much, have they?
Not really. You know what's funny? I found out that I'm related to 3 kings of Scotland, and I'm also related to the one guy who killed Macbeth. One of the Malcolms killed Macbeth.
Yeah, you told me that. That's an interesting story. Do you want to share that?
Well, that's all I learned about it was that Macbeth killed one of the Malcolms, and the son of the guy that got killed Macbeth. They had sword fight, and he took him out. Now, I would have listened to Macbeth a lot better in high school if I'd known it was my relatives.
Macbeth is a fantastic read. That was one of my things when I was in high school. That and Beowulf. I loved Beowulf. So
I like Tillamook mudslide ice cream.
You like all ice cream. I like banana
Tillamook
ice cream.
mudslide, my favorite.
Well, that's not bad if you can't have banana. And hi, Jeremy York.
Hi, Jeremy.
So he's in chat. But
always like Jeremy.
Jeremy's a good person.
He is.
If it weren't for he and Carl, I would probably just be off in the wilderness, the voice in the wilderness somewhere. But, I'm so fortunate and so appreciative that I get to do what I do because, that's how we met. I was up at Scarefest covering Scarefest. And there you were. Being all.
It was a terrible moment in your life, but.
What else?
It stuck.
Depends on the day. It did stick. And that was when I had just gotten Fate magazine, remember? And I hadn't even told anybody yet because we hadn't announced it yet. And you did at your event. And I was like, oh, we hadn't even said anything about that. And
so I ratted you out first time.
well, it's so funny because oh my word, your best friend
Kane
looked at me and said, you just did. And I was like, yes, I did. Yes, we did. Thank you so much. He's so funny.
He is. He's a knucklehead.
He is a knucklehead. I like him.
We get along real well. I'll tell you one of the funny ones. Kane is a very tough guy in real life, but he's a really nice guy. And we were in this convertible, and we're driving, and we came to a stop, and these 2 guys in the car next to us are going, giving us the mean mug. And
That's such a bad decision.
Kane looked at me, and he looks at me, and he goes, look at these guys. So I looked over at him, and he goes, are you getting scared? And they go, not yet. Right. So he looks over the guys, he goes, A little more, please. So he hit the gas and took off.
Knucklehead.
Yep. Bunch of knuckleheads.
Well, I tell you what, I like what I know about him, you know?
Well, he's watched
So,
out for me a lot.
yeah,
And I watched out for him a lot, actually. I got him the lead in 2 of Richard's movies.
yeah.
I got
It's
to be
what
the lead
friends
in one
do.
of his movies, but I was in a werewolf suit.
Yeah. And I've never watched any of those movies because I'm a great big scaredy cat.
Well, you know what's so funny? There's a scene in this movie, Dark Wolf, where the werewolf jumps on the hood of the car and he's smashing the windows and trying to get the kids. And I went out there, and you can always tell when people expect you to get hurt because everybody shows up to watch, right?
Yeah.
So I got there, and all the actors and actresses are there, and they're all lined up. And I'm standing right next to the car, and they're actually pounding in a little place for my foot so I don't just slide off, a piece of wood so I can put my foot against it. And Andrea Bogart, who is one of the lead actresses in there, she comes up and she looks at me and she goes, "Are you going to get hurt?" And I went, "Yes." Right? Because I was going like 25 miles an hour into steel barrels, just me, just diving off into them. And she goes, "You are going to get hurt?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "How bad?" And I jumped up on the hood and I turned around and looked at her. I said, "Let you know in a minute." Right? And off we go. And I go flying through those barrels and I'm bouncing around. And one of the barrels came up and the edge of it hit me right in the ear. And these were 55-gallon drums, right? Boom. And I'm like, whoa, how did Mike Tyson get here? Right. So I'm laying on the ground because I had to roll out of the way so you couldn't see me when the car went racing out. And I'm laying there and they yell, "Cut." And everybody runs over because they heard me hitting all these barrels and stuff. And Richard runs over, right? And he looks down, he goes, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I'm only up to my waist so far. Give me a minute." Right? He goes, "Is there anything I can do?" And they took the mask off and a bunch of blood was coming out of my ear. And they were afraid. I knew what they thought, that it was brain injury.
Yeah.
And they go, "Oh my God, there's blood coming out." I said, "No, the barrel hit me in the ear." And they looked and they said, "Oh yeah, there's a big cut in your ear." And I said, "Yeah, I knew it." And Richard, I'm still laying on my back and all the people are surrounding me. And Richard goes, "Is there anything I can do?" I said, "Yeah, just say those 3 little words." He goes, "What 3 little words?" And I went, "Perfect, moving on." He looks around and he goes, "Perfect, moving on." Heather Besser said
Your
hello.
job.
Heather Besser said hello to us on here.
Yes,
Did you
she
see
did.
it?
I was going to let you know that if you didn't see it.
Hi, Heather.
She's so awesome. Hi, Heather.
She's a good person. I like her.
She is a good person. I like her too.
But that was funny. Go bouncing off this. Perfect, moving on. I have to tell you another story about that same show, Dark Wolf. There was a scene where they had this, industrial elevator, the kind that you pull down the gate and you can still see the people inside.
Yeah.
And Richard says, "Okay, chase them in there and get down into a crouch. And when they start to go up, just jump and hit the thing and go back and get down, and like on your, on all fours, and then jump up and hit it again as hard as you can." And I go back down. I'm getting ready to go. And I just start to go up and I feel someone grab me by the back of my suit and yank me backwards. And somebody had yelled, "Stop!" Right? Are you still there?
I am still there.
Oh, there's nothing on the screen.
Yes, I see that.
But anyway, I get yanked backwards, and it was actually Robert Pendergraft, who's a member of Hollywood Ghost Hunters, by the way. He's the one who grabbed me and yanked me backwards. And I said, and I had the mask on, and he pulls the mask off. I said, "Why'd you pull me back?" He says, "Turn around and look." And I turned around and looked. I'd hit the thing so hard that it caught on the frame of the one going up. And when it went up on the third one, there was nothing in front of me. It was just empty space. And I was getting ready to go like this. And we were on the 3rd floor. I would have gone.
Yep.
And he grabbed me. So thank you.
And just so people know, we have been having problems with my computer. So, but obviously it's not too bad because Rick was still talking and we could see Rick. So that's what matters because he's the guest tonight. But so if I glitch out like that, I apologize. I don't know what's going on. It's a new issue.
It's Carl's fault.
And Heather Besser, miss you too. I was just thinking about you the other day and thought I would give you a buzz, but here you are. You must have known.
There you be.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, I want to say something has nothing to do with ghost hunting, but happy birthday to my nephew, Gianni, and happy high school graduation.
That's so cool.
So he had his birthday.
Happy birthday, Gianni.
Yeah, I remember Cash was telling me, he goes, yeah, I'm going to name my son Gianni. I said, why? He says, because my wife, she's Italian. He says, and we wanted to have a little Italian. I said, you're going to name him Gianni McCallum? He goes, yeah. I said, why don't you just name me Beat Me Up McCallum? And he says,
culturalism is good.
He says, why would you think that? I said, what did you go through, Sterling Cash McCallum? He goes, oh, yeah. He says, when I was younger, he says, everybody wanted to beat me up because my name was Sterling. So I said, well, you think Gianni's going to be any better?
Well, but look what Cash chose for a career
prior
to real estate.
Getting socked in the head. But he never lost. That's pretty good.
I would say a world champion's a pretty good thing.
Yeah, it's not bad. But he didn't get the rest of the guys in the universe. He only got the world, so.
Well, now that we're doing all this disclosure stuff, maybe we'll get the universe guys.
Yeah.
And he can train again.
Well, they got Miss Universe and Mr. Universe. Why don't they have, the guys slug it out from the universe? Of course, you probably have guys out there 800 pounds with 4 arms. Like, whoa.
Well, you know what? Cash could find a way to market it.
He would do it. Yeah, he'd figure it out.
He would.
He would figure it out. He's a good guy. I like him. He's a good brother.
I like him too.
Although you ratted me out to him.
If I hadn't ratted you out to him, you wouldn't be sitting here in this form.
Probably not. But you know what? Vandy called me. And I think you called Vandy too, didn't you?
I was trying to find Cash. I don't know if I talked to Vandy or not. I don't think I talked to Vandy because I wouldn't have told her that without telling Cash.
But Vandy
so
called
that Cash could tell her.
Vandy called me before that. I think Cash called her and said, I can't understand anything he's saying, right? Yeah. And Vandy said the same thing, but yeah, she popped in there. But you're the person that actually saved me by calling all my Richard and Monica came and picked me up off the floor, took me to the hospital.
Yeah,
I had a rough 2 years. I'm telling you. I'm starting to think now that I'm bulletproof. There's nothing left to attack me with.
No. Don't even try anything else. Don't make me come over there.
I'm going up on the roof of here tonight. I'm going to jump in the pool. Maybe. It's a long jump.
I'll send David.
It's a long jump. But yeah.
Heather said that she must be psychic, that she felt us thinking about her.
She must think she's psychic. Who would think that?
Said she must be psychic. That she knew we were thinking about her.
Yeah, but who would think she was psychic other than
I know, right?
Raise your hand if you think she's psychic.
Without a doubt.
She's a real nice person too.
Huh?
She's a real nice person too.
Yes, she is. I mean, I had a great time when I got to talk with her, and I just think she's a great person.
Well, I do too. I do too.
And there is we have between us met so many Petses that is so awesome because we know a lot more good people than we do putzes.
Yeah. Well, there's a few putzes that we know that pretend to be, psychic and all that stuff.
Well, there are.
But when you run across the real deal, you're like,
yes, indeed. And that's my exact face. So, without the beard.
Without the beard?
Or mustache, hopefully.
I should get instead of having Tillamook mudslide, chocolate, I should get something that's lighter because I'll sit there later on in the day and I'm going, oops.
I am going to read this. And stop being so hard-headed, Rick. That's my message from the other side. LOL.
And who told me that?
Heather Besser.
I believe her. I believe her.
And I don't know if that's your mom, your dad, or your grandma, but do it.
Well, what one of these psychics told me? Your mother's in heaven and she's watching everything you're doing. And I said to her, everything? Can I have a little privacy once in a while? There's some things I don't want my mother watching.
I worry about that, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do worry about that because it's like, little privacy, please.
Well, if God's watching, I guess it might as be okay to have the rest of them watching.
No, it's not okay. God made all this, right? So.
But that's what I told her. That's what I told the girl that was saying, your mother's always watching everything you do. It's like, no, I'm not in favor of this. Boo. Want an on-off switch. Yeah. I'll tell you something funny about Lee Dunn.
She said they see everything. They may just not say anything about it.
Yeah. But Lee Dunn and I were in this swimming pool thing. And then off to the side, they had a small weightlifting gym. And Ryan was in there and he was, doing his thing. And I'd been out by myself going through all the rest of the places. And I came in and I had my K2 meter and I put it in my back pocket. And I was standing in the doorway because it was a small place. And I feel like somebody grabbed the thing and tried to pull it out of my pocket. So I turned around to see which one of those numbskull guys was, and there's nobody there. So I put it back in there. I was like, well, that was interesting. And then I feel that somebody going on again and tried to pull out. And it went like this, and there's nobody there, right? So a minute later, here comes Lee. I said, Lee, there's something weird. Something keeps trying to pull my K2 out of my back pocket. And then he sat there and he says, what? He says, somebody tried to take something out of my pocket. And I said, I think it's a kid, right? And I said, because it's down here, right? And he goes, yeah. He says, you know what? I think it's a kid too. So, but yeah, trying to rob me a little pork chop.
Well, I don't think that Lee Dunn didn't know who that was.
Well, I didn't know who it was.
Yeah. I think that we know two of the best psychics on the planet. So
I believe that. I'll put our two up against any other two you got. But
absolutely.
I got to tell a story here is that I'm not sure Kat's going to want to go ghost hunting with me anymore because I've seen her get shot. I've seen her got punched in the head at different places. So,
and both of them were historical places. I mean, there wasn't, and in neither place was there anything that could have created that wasn't a manifestation of some kind.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I was walking with Kat. We were out at Culloden, where the big fight between the British and the Scots were going on. And the Scots got the worst of it because they had the worst planning and the other team had all the weapons.
The worst leader.
Yeah, a drunken Irishman telling I'm surprised the Scottish guys didn't beat him up when he first started trying to be the boss. But yeah, I'm standing there with Kat. She goes, oh, and leans over. And I'm like, what happened? She goes, I think somebody shot me. And I was like, what? And I'm looking around for villains and,
Because he was in charge of my personal safety.
Yeah, and I was thinking, David's not going to like this. I'm supposed to be watching for this stuff. And then the other one, we were in what was it, the Writers Museum.
We were.
And bam, right in the head.
It felt like I got hit with a golf club in the back of the head. I actually, because Lori saw me and she's like, what's wrong? Because I guess I went pale. And I mean, because I put my hand to the back of my head because I thought I was bleeding. I got hit so hard. And there's nothing there. And I'm just like, what is happening here? Because I'd never had that experience before. And, our friend Jay Craig was looking, Cat, the other cat that was our guide was like, and I said, well, did anyone here die from because I couldn't think of anything else. Did anyone here die from a head injury? And Cat said, well, yeah. And you just came out of the room where his records are.
Yeah. The other guy fell on the stairs and cracked his head.
Yeah. On that marble. And they brought him in and nursed him and he passed away there. He didn't recover. They paid all of his doctor bills and everything. They really took very good care of him. And so there was that. It's crazy. But the good thing is I was, at Culloden, if I got shot, I was a Jacobite because the English were the only ones with guns. That's why there were 400 English killed and 1,400 Scots killed.
Well, not only that, they had that giant marsh that they had to run through. And the English just stood up there going, okay, pow.
Like skeet shooting.
Yeah, it was like the worst. You remember when I was there, I was so mad. I was like, why the hell did they go charging through that thing to people that have guns on the other side? And it's the stupidest thing I ever saw. I wouldn't have been
That's the stupidest thing.
I wouldn't have been a good follower. We're going to charge over there. Have yourself a wonderful time. Good night.
Well, then you would have gotten killed by your side. So
probably. I suggest.
I mean, that's how they did that then.
No, that's it. You turn around. I'm leaving now, and I suggest you all come with me.
Yes. Join me, lads.
Follow me. Yeah. I will tell you another one that was interesting because it was with our friend Lori Dorsey. Mm-hmm. We were walking up the entrance into Calton Hill, and it's about 100 yards, I guess, up there. And it's got it's flat, no stairs, just a walkway, and it's pretty steep. And it's got handrail in the middle. And she's ahead of me, and I'm walking, and somebody right here on my ear goes, "Pardon me," like kind of mad, like I'm taking up too much room or something. So I turn around and I look, 75 yards of nothing behind me, and I went,
"Yeah."
So I said, "Hey, Lori, did you hear somebody say something?" She goes, "I heard the guy say, 'Pardon me.'" I said, "Turn around and look." She goes, "There's nobody here." I said, "I know."
Always a ton of surprise. Yeah.
Oh, I know what you said earlier before that we haven't talked about. What happened when you made your phone call?
Oh. That was so fun. And and I was so bummed out that I couldn't be there. But Rick was doing one of my other really, really great friends, Shelley Robertson, owns the old Paulding Jail in Paulding, Ohio. One of the most haunted places I have ever been, if not for a contemporary haunting. And so I had experiences there. I pissed the whole place off, but we all got to be friends again. So Rick was doing an event. All of my other ghost hunting friends were there and not me. I was so crushed and dismayed. So did y'all called me, right?
Yeah. So let's call Kat.
Yeah. So they're on the phone and they had me on speakerphone so that I could hear everybody. Everybody could hear me. And they're like, well, we are here and we're doing this and we're doing that. And I was like, oh, Hi, ghosts. Hi, guys. It's me. I'm so sorry I'm not there, but these are my friends. This is my friend Rick, and da 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 da. And everything. Well, you tell that because I didn't see it because we weren't FaceTime.
I had the K2 meter, and I started asking questions for Kat between the two of them. And Kat would ask, she would ask something, and it would instantly reply. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Kat's phoning it in, and they're answering him. They're talking to her on the phone. But yeah, they must have answered like 5 questions of yours. And it was so funny because she goes, yeah, and they're friends of mine, and they light it up, and it was really cool. And she said, yeah, they're going to ghost hunt here. Nothing. And then she goes, no, but they're really nice. They'll treat you good. And then it lights up all 5 again. It was like, man, she can call ghosts on the phone. I was
just those ghosts.
I was amazed.
Those ghosts and I have a special relationship, though, honest to goodness. And you know, it was so special to me because, you know, that morning after the incident happened, I got in my car. I mean, because they got mad, I got mad, all God's children were mad. I'm just like, Shelly has one of those portals that Steve Huff designed, and she bought the plans for, so she made that. And so it's a beautiful tool. And so we went into the kitchen, and we started, because I was mad. I was like, we need to turn this on because I need to have a conversation. I was so mad. And so I told them why I was there, blah, 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 blah. And so, and I was like, and I'm trying to help Shelly save this building because she wants y'all to have a place to be, blah, blah, blah. And through the portal comes, really? And I said, yes, really? You think I'm here for my health? No, I came with Shelly so that I could see what this place is like. And I'm trying to do a live show from here so that people can know that you're here and know what's happening. And so Shelly said, so can she do the show in the cell block? No. And I'm like, well, can we do it upstairs? So we went up to the upstairs kitchen and did it there in the quarters. So that's how I met those ghosts. It was my first time ever at the old Paulding jail. And in fact, it was the weekend of Scarefest. I went there after we met. And that's when I did that. But that jail has, in fact, it was on the show that Jack Osborne was on.
I know, I saw that. That's where your shirt was ripped.
Huh?
That's when
yes. And nobody told me my shirt was ripped. I was so upset. But that's okay. Stuff happens to me like that all the time.
Yeah, but you're supposed to look tough when you're ghost hunting.
But I love that jail, and I love those spirits because these guys, when I got in my car the next morning, because I had to sleep in that jail, I couldn't go to bed mad with them, right? So, or I didn't want to. So the next morning when I got up, I got in my car. I'm a Kenny Chesney fan. My radio is on No Shoes Nation all the time because it has eclectic music. It plays everybody. And so I got in my car, and one of my favorite songs was I'm sitting there like, all right, ready to go, about to pull out of the parking lot, and my Sirius radio skipped, which doesn't happen. And the song it skipped to, Ghost in This House. No lie. That's the name of the song that it skipped to. And I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And they weren't. They told me bye. And they were just, you know.
Do you remember the thing with the sheriff?
Yes.
Yeah, Shelley and Lori, I think, were the ones. I don't think you called me. I think it was Shelley and Lori. They said, yeah, the spirits were really acting up, and the sheriff was trying to calm them down. And finally, you can hear it. The sheriff's going, "Get Rick, get Rick." It's like,
Yes.
I'm on my way.
And that was just the most bizarre thing. I mean, really, because there was a battle royal going on there.
Yeah. I did see a couple things in that place when I was there. Can't remember the girl that was with me. You know who she is. She was one of the girls that was there ghost hunting, who's a friend of yours and a friend of hers. But
Oh, yeah.
but
No, my brain is just,
as we were walking down that one hallway that's got like the hole chopped in the wall.
yeah. Oh,
As
yes.
Yeah, as I'm walking down there, I looked and it looked like the back of a seal, slick and black, went right in there. And I turned around and I looked, she goes, "I saw it too." We went up there and looked in, nothing there. But it was big, went woof in that hole. I made her look first just in case. In case it was hungry. Here, you go first.
Well, there's so much that happens in that jail. And it, to me, I mean, the places that we've gone in Scotland are all haunted as well, incredibly so. But personal interaction that I've had at Sloss and I've had at the jail. I've never had anything like I have at the jail at all.
Well, they like you. They talk to you on the phone. I mean, come on.
But it's the Southern voice. But it's really so interesting, that they know how to do these things, because they're like early. And my grandpa's last name was the last name of the first sheriff there. And we didn't know that until recently. Everybody that has a close affiliation with this jail are related to each other.
Wow.
In their history. And it's really interesting. Shelley is doing some fantastic research.
That's cool. Do you remember one jail that was by the water, and we all went in there and you could look on the computer to see if there's anybody with your last name?
Yes, that was because we were staying at that Stagecoach Inn, and it was 10. The town started with a T. Am I boring you?
But the weird thing was when the guy that ran the place came out and he was talking about that, and he said, "Did you check yours?" I said, "Yeah, there were 5 McCallums in this jail." Yeah. And he looks at me and he goes, "There was a lot more than 5." Okay.
Well, now that I know that because now I have 2 sides, but with my grandmother and, her family being there and being a subset of the Campbells, now I want to go back and look this stuff up, because.
Well, do you know anybody that would go with you?
No idea. No idea. But, it's just, I've already been out of the country once this year. I can't go again right now.
Yeah.
So we have rules about that in this house now.
Well, yeah, besides that, the FBI are watching you anyway. When I went with Liam, first time I went with Liam, he took me to this one place, and we walked into this graveyard, and the first headstone right at the front, John W. McCallum, and I went, "It's my freaking grandpa." Or great grandpa, one of them down the line.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
was kind of cool.
So are you going to go to the Highland Paracon?
I haven't talked to them. They haven't called me back. So
Well, there's a lot of working going on right now.
yeah, I know it's in November,
Yeah.
and that's
And
all I really know about it. And Liam hasn't called me back. So
well, I happened to mention to David that the Highland Paracon was in November, which is when my birthday is.
and
Dead silence, but we'll see what happens.
are you going to give him the eyelashes? Yeah, that one.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
honey, I have a really big radio show that I have to fill. I have to go to places.
Well, then he'll tell me, well, just hit that bank account, baby.
Oh,
So
he wouldn't
Yeah.
do that.
he wouldn't do that.
He wouldn't do that.
He is so supportive. I am so blessed. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, if you didn't
So-
marry him, I would have. I mean,
Well, yeah, I do have a special relationship.
yeah, I'm not really into that, but still.
Well, it's just such a cool thing
Yeah.
because this guy was not into the paranormal at all. And we went up to Tennessee to look at a piece of equipment for his shop. He owns a machining business. So, we're up there and we're leaving the place, and Stone River Battlefield is right there. And I was like, ooh, I'd like to go look at that. So we're there, and he's, we're out walking around, and we're in this, every battlefield has their little death pit that people got caught up in and shot like fishing barrels, right? Well, this place had one, and it was so vibey. So I had a few, because I am that girl, I had a few voice recorders. And so I'm setting one up here and one there. And he was like, do you want me to take that one and come over here so you can triangulate? And I'm like, why, yes, I do. Thank you. So he was all into helping to figure out how to make it work and how to help me get evidence. And that's not his thing.
Well, he's
But
a pretty
because it's
bright
my
guy.
thing, he's a special guy.
Pretty bright guy.
I'm so lucky. So I think he's pretty cool.
I've never met him, but I like him already because he's nice to you.
Well, he likes you for the same reason. So, and he trusts you.
I hate to say this, don't want to make it sound, he should.
Yeah, he should.
I'm about the most trustworthy person you'll ever meet. Yeah,
Annoyingly so sometimes. Yes.
that's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
So, but I do like that honor matters so much to you,
It does.
because because seriously, I can't picture you ever being less than a gentleman. And
Unless there was some real reason not to be.
it was like David, it would take a real reason.
Yeah.
Something bad would have had to happen to get him to that level of being less than kind.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's really a special trait, because so many people, and I'm sometimes quick to fly off the handle. It takes something to get me there, but that's how I do things. It's just a momentary thing.
It's okay to fly off the handle as long as you don't fly too far.
Oh,
What?
Carl wanted me to tell you about the show with the spirit through his computer. And I want Carl to hit this stage and share that, if he would, please. He's coming. There he is. Hey, Carl.
Hi.
There he is.
Yeah, because I don't think Rick heard it, what happened on that show.
I don't think so.
What show?
Me and Kat, one night, it was on a Sunday night on Fake Magazine. It was perfect timing. I don't know how, but it was. But we were going over some of the equipment. And I showed her some of the stuff that I have. And then we went to show her how to use EchoBox 3, the app on the phone that I use, right? She wanted to
Yeah.
learn how to set it up. So we did. We asked a few questions, got a couple little answers, nothing major. So I shut my phone down. Kat shut her phone down. We're talking, and all of a sudden a voice comes through and goes, "What?"
Yeah.
I didn't have any browsers open, just StreamYard. Kat
Mhm.
didn't have nothing open.
Mm-mm.
For the next hour and a half, this spirit talked
Yeah.
and told us stuff that by the end of the show, we put the pieces together, and Kat opened the browser up and typed it in. And sure enough, there was a book out about it.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
This
And
this spirit was talking just like we are right now, plain and
yes,
clear.
and it was, I mean, redcoats. We're thinking revolutionary.
Right.
They were not revolutionary, were they, Carl?
No, I looked up, I put redcoats in the Civil War.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it popped up in Georgia. Some of the Civil War Union soldiers were wearing redcoats to fight.
And it was right outside north of Atlanta.
Yeah.
Was it Lawrenceville or?
Well, remember, in the conversation, it got us going in two different directions because it said Roswell.
Roswell. Yeah, it was
And
Roswell,
then
Georgia.
it said 1847, 1947. And we're
Yeah.
thinking, are we talking to an alien?
Yeah.
You know? And then it went on and gave us names, real names.
You ought to play that on this show sometime.
Yeah, we'll have to do a replay of it.
Probably. We will probably rebroadcast that.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
should.
If not, Rick, go back through on the Bill of Rights Network and go down and find the show with Kat and Carl on it.
Yeah.
And we're doing equipment and listen to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that
Had not happened
we'll put
before.
it this way. We got more evidence out of the podcast than I've gotten in any investigation.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And we could not figure out where that voice was coming from.
You know what I still get? I still think is funny. The meanest army in history at the time, the British, come over to attack us, and they go into the forest to fight the guys wearing red coats. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, look, there's one.
Yeah.
And people that had to hunt for their food because there wasn't shopping like there was in England.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
yeah, it was a real good show. We even had people in the chat room commenting what they were hearing. And
Yeah.
it was the
That's
same
pretty
thing
good.
we were hearing.
That's pretty good.
That
yeah.
Yeah, to
First
me,
time-
it's amazing when you get a voice, on film, or when you get a voice, on a tape, and there's nobody there but you, and you're like, wow. That's like the one from Scottish Paranormal, right? The energy. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
And that was a serious voice too.
Yeah, he was a grumpy little dude. Yeah,
He
this
was.
voice, and it was one voice.
Yeah.
It sounded like a little boy. And then we figured out it was a young, between childhood and teenager, right in that area.
Yeah.
But you heard the words burn, chains, find my brother, burned, chains.
Yeah.
So when we heard that, we're thinking slavery,
Yeah.
and stuff. And it went on through there. And then when we, at the end of the show, and she Googled it, and we went to the book and read the highlights of the book, it was about the Civil War
Yeah.
when they came in and ran them out off the plantation.
I imagine somebody has done this, but I wonder if anybody's ever gone to what is that place you like, Gettysburg,
Hmm.
and gone up to the room where the girl was killed.
They have.
I figured they would have, but that would be like you think you'd get something there.
I think people have gotten stuff there, as well as in that basement where all those children were.
I have to go to Gettysburg someday. I've never been there.
Well, let me know when you go, because I would probably find a way to go. And it's really weird because people investigate there, and I don't think that they should really. But the whole area, the town, the part that's the park now. I mean, every part of that area was the battlefield. And so there's somebody that I know, Jim Mallard, who's, the Mallard Report host, went there. The first time I was on my way there, he was messaging me and he was like, if you go to Devil's Den, I was in there. I was there. The creek across from it, while I was just standing there looking, I was just, leaning on something and checking the place out. And I looked down and the creek was blood. And I'm like, what? Because this is not somebody prone to fancy. This is not somebody that I would ever doubt. I mean, it would be like doubting one of y'all, right? And, but I did not anticipate him telling me paranormal stuff. And he so was. And I was a little nervous about it,
Yeah.
but I never had anything like that, but just knowing that it was there. And I have to say hey to Tom McNicholas because I haven't seen him in a hot minute. And I'm so glad to see you, Tom. Thank you for being here. But that was freaky, right? Not something you would anticipate. There's so much in that area that I thought I was going to get more stuff with my camera, my Nikon, than I did. But the very first night I was there, one of the local team leaders took me out there, and I met his team and stuff, and everybody's hanging out at Sachs Bridge because it's just where people go. But I'm just sitting there and all these people are talking and I'm looking around because I've never been there. And I see the stand of trees over to the side and I'm like, oh, cool. There's no other trees there. It looks like a flat area because it was the battlefield. And so when I turned back around, there weren't any trees. And I said something, and Robert was the man's name. And I was like, I just saw trees there and now there are no trees there. He said, well, they probably weren't trees. They were soldiers. Okay. So let that go. And while I'm sitting there, everybody's still talking and I'm watching, and there's things that would be like, da-da-da, and then they pop up and then they'd be gone and they pop up. So I'm thinking they're bunnies, right? Because they're low to the ground. And so I asked about that, and they're like, oh, those are probably sentries. They're just, scoping us out. So it's a very strange place. But there was so much killing and damaging and pillaging and all of the things that go with.
I always love a good pillage.
Right? I wouldn't mind pillaging some of those places in Scotland. And it would fit in well there.
Yeah, they seem to be all swords and pillaging.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like when our friend Lynn Crawford Knight and her husband Gary, they go to those reenactment things and cosplay, and that's a big bundle of people that do that at one time. And the pictures of her And her costume with her broadsword coming at the camera was pretty good. So, and
Women with broadswords. I ain't going.
yeah, you are, because you like that history.
I do.
So, and I can totally see her doing that.
Me too.
She is a badass in the best way.
In the good way.
Yeah. They certainly did love on us when we were there, and I appreciate that so much. Those are some good people.
Yeah,
Everybody we know there is.
Yeah, we've really had some good things happen. That's for sure.
Yeah. And thanks for including me with your friends to be able to do that stuff.
Of course. You are my friend. And
I am your friend, but I mean, it's nice to be.
You're an excellent investigator. Why wouldn't I invite you?
Thank you.
Besides that, if somebody started beating me up, you'd probably help me.
I would save you.
I think Lori might jump in there.
Look.
I think Lori might jump in there.
Yeah, I think so.
She was trying to drag me to the ground one time when this car backfired.
I know. She was going to save your ass whether you wanted to be saved or not.
Yeah, I just went, Lori, what are you doing? Yeah, it was a gunshot. It's a backfire. I said, we're 100 yards away. They couldn't hit us with a pistol. They tried 1,000,000 times.
Yeah. But she was going to save you.
Yeah. Well, if she would have stood up, I would have hid behind her.
I hope she heard that. That's going to be funny. So, but I'm just glad that we have these opportunities and that we have these friends that are so special. And I want to thank Heather for being in our chat too, because she is definitely one of those people. And you know that we've gotten to.
I would love to see her get her own TV show.
I would too.
I would.
I tell you what.
Although she did tell me quit being so hard-headed. On this thing.
I think everybody who knows you has told you that at one point in time or another.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, I think so. Big guy. Yeah. So she also said to go see everything. They just don't talk about it.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Thank goodness. I don't want to know that anybody's around, but sometimes.
Yeah, I don't need anybody watching some things I do. I mean, yeah. I sleep with no clothes on. I mean, come on. How nobody needs to see that.
I will vouch for that. I have not seen that, and I'm not going to try to.
Yeah, that's why I've never gotten married. I don't want anybody to have to look at that.
Oh, you're so funny.
By the way,
you haven't got married because you run away every time somebody's interested.
That's true, but I'm honest about it.
You are honest about it. And it's so funny because, guys, if a woman starts to flirt with him, he does not stick around. He is just like, oh, there's something wrong with them.
Yeah,
they're flirting with you. There's obviously something wrong with them.
Yeah, you like me? Boy, there is something wrong with you.
Whatever.
You know what, though? When it comes to ghost hunting, I think if babies and animals like you, so will ghosts.
I think so.
So I like that because animals like me.
Because you have a good heart.
Yeah, I think that. I still think that they read your aura.
Yep. I would agree with that. And I think that's the reason that I didn't get damaged by those ghosts at Paulding. Once they realized what was happening. Because oh, really? I mean,
Well, I got shoved down the stairs one time at the William Heath Davis house. And Brandy was right behind me. She sat down on the stair because the San Diego Ghost Hunters were doing a thing downstairs. And we didn't want to bother them. So she goes, let's sit down. So she sat down as a couple down below. And I started to sit down and bam! I mean, I was like, it's a good thing my big butt was heading down. Otherwise, it would have got launched.
Wow.
But you know what would happen? I would have did a shoulder roll, rolled a couple times, got up and went, damn it.
Yeah, they didn't know who they were trying to knock down, did they?
Me down. I have to say one thing, because you have to imagine this. We were walking along up near in the what's the name of that place? The castle.
Mingus?
No, Edinburgh Castle. And we're yeah, how can I forget that? We're walking along and there's these places next to the street where you can have food.
Oh my gosh.
They have these pylons. They're made out of cement. They're about
in the grass market.
Yeah, in the grass market. And we're walking along and I'm looking up at the castle, and I hit both shins on this thing and went right over the top of it, went splat, and I hit the ground, and all of a sudden I started going up in the air, and I was like, well, at least I'm going in the right direction, right? And I looked around, it was all the people from the restaurant come running over to help me up, and they just kind of lifted me like this.
They each grabbed a part.
Yeah, hold on a second. Right.
And they're like, oh, sir, are you okay, sir?
Yeah, that was funny. But
They
that's
were
what
sweet.
they like. I remember we were walking down in St. Andrews, and
You have 4 minutes.
I'll tell a 3.5-minute story. Now we're walking along, and Gregor was telling us everything, and we had all these people walking along on the street, and this older lady, well, I can't say older, she's probably younger than me, was walking along past us, and she was going, and all of a sudden she did a face plant right into the cement. Boom! And she's like 15 yards ahead of us. And I just took off running to go help her, right? And I said, you okay? Right? She goes, oh, I'm fine. So I helped her up and stuff like that. And one of the guys was sitting there and said, I didn't know you were that fast. I said, I only do it in emergencies.
Yeah.
I only run fast when I don't know that I'm supposed to be running.
Because
like,
it just kicks
It
in.
was like when I ran after that little kid that went out into traffic right by your place.
Yeah.
And I was already running before I realized that I couldn't.
But you saved him.
Well, at least I got him out of the street. You know.
Yeah.
And the two people, there were two Asian women that were the same size, had the long black hair, and for a minute I thought I was watching The Shining. And they were going, thank you, thank you, thank you. I said, no problem. Thank you. Okay, I got you. Okay. We're good. But yeah, it was funny because the kid was coming out. I just ran right in front of him, went back. He went running back onto the place there.
You
my favorite thing there, though, you know this, is when the fox came up and stood by my foot,
Yes.
looked up at me like, hi. Well, hi. All the time when I talk to God, I say, could you please send me a fox? This isn't what I meant.
Yeah.
Something a little taller, you know. But that little fox was so cool. When he walked away, I started to walk away. He started to walk away, and I stopped after 2 or 3 things, and I turned around and looked, and he stopped and turned around and looked, and it was like a Hallmark moment. You know, I expected stuff to flip down and music to start.
Oh,
But it was cool.
but we've got to go, or I can't replay this.
Oh, well, bye.
So. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate y'all so much, and we
Bye,
will see
Carol.
you next week. Yes.
Bye, Carl.
We will see you next week. Same cat time, same cat channel. Good night.